Playboi Carti has once again fooled his fans and not released a promised song, a habit he's developed over the years of doing it over and over again. And this comes 1,429 days since his last actual full album release. He released a 1-minute song on Thursday via Instagram, but failed to live up to any promises he had for Friday, and subsequently canceled 2 festival performances just hours before he was scheduled to perform. And he's not alone. Kanye, Frank Ocean, Rihanna, and even Kendrick keep their fans constantly guessing what they're going to do. And not only do these artists remain secretive when it comes to music, they don't really share much of their life at all. And the question has to be asked, why do they do this? It's not just a personal life choice, but a genius business strategy done by some of the biggest marketing executives in the world. Being an enigmatic artist in 2024 is harder than people can imagine. The first and obvious step of the entire process is make music that connects with people in a unique and interesting way. But beyond this, to brand yourself as this specific style of artist, it takes a deep understanding of how younger generations consume media and perceive with each other online. Every social media post has to be a brand strategy move, but none of them can be too forced. Social media has become this big monster where there's so much noise that people feel they need to cut through it by being louder than everyone else. Trying to be this mysterious, enigmatic artist in 2024 often gets you overlooked or just completely ignored. But if people truly want to hear what you have to say and you have something to say that's important enough, they'll go out of their way to find you. And this strategy of having consumers find you isn't done in just music. It's done in clothing brands, automotive companies, and even film. To understand Carti and all these mysterious musicians like him, you have to go to these films. Well, not specifically these films, the distributor of these films, A24. Everyone has heard this company by now. Their logo has almost become a stamp of approval for well-formulated indie-style films. But just calling them a film distributor is almost underselling what they mean to people. It's become a brand with a cult-like following, something that every brand wants to have. Fans can even buy well-created merch with the A24 logo proudly stamped on it. A far-fetched idea when you consider where companies like DreamWorks and Universal stand among its fans. But how did A24 specifically separate themselves from the crowd? How does a simple logo at the beginning of a movie have so much character and personality to it? How they did it was they strategically abandoned traditional marketing and focused on viral internet marketing and word of mouth. They focused their money on being on the cutting edge of what people liked and largely avoided the threat of being corny. Quote, the company was doing brand Twitter before brand Twitter. As people started to find this type of engagement cheesy, A24 largely phased it out. But with all this marketing, the product does have to match. So in the early stages of A24, they didn't make films, they simply purchased them from other people. With this, they were able to pick and choose the perfect films that matched the style they wanted. A lot of people cite A24's prominence just as their ability to choose movies, but that's only half the story. But how does a film company like A24 relate to artists like Playboi Carti, Frank Ocean, and Kanye West? Well, they're almost doing the exact same thing. Every artist, no matter who they are, has to market themselves in some way. The traditional strategy is to time every announcement to pull in as many viewers as possible. Look at artists like Tyler the Creator and The Weeknd. They both had extremely planned out album rollouts with a ton of money and marketing strategy put behind it. Although they also do things slightly outside of the box, their strategies were both very public-facing and promotional heavy. With Tyler the Creator playing his album live in the middle of the Clippers Stadium, and The Weeknd partnering with 2 of his music videos for his next album with Apple. And their numbers very much backed it up as a smart strategy, pulling in record-breaking first-week sales for both artists. But for Carti and artists like him, their strategy is to reject these norms as much as possible and rely on word of mouth. He only released a portion of his music in 2024 on YouTube with little to no marketing push, yet it spread around the internet like wildfire as soon as it was uploaded. His Instagram isn't littered with random posts, just 2 posts promoting music that actually never got released. Now look at Frank Ocean. He occasionally posts on his Instagram story, but never to his actual feed. Now go to Kanye's, and his Instagram is constantly being cleansed with now only 1 post and no profile picture. And if you look at Kendrick Lamar's Instagram, he has the same simplicity, and only recently made his second Instagram account public, which has even more mystery to it, as its user can only be identified as Kendrick if you look close enough at it. While social media has been typically used as a way to give fans a look inside their world, they're using it as a strategy to brand themselves in this specific way. These artists are all using the same model as A24. They don't want to over-market themselves because there's a high amount of value in feeling exclusive. A large portion of the world won't understand these artists or the quirky, weird films of A24, but it creates an exclusive club of people who do understand them. Fans want to be in the know because the moment you become too overexposed / easy to relate to, you lose your mystique. And fans of A24 are exactly like the fans of Playboi Carti. Quote, whenever you see that little car before the movie, you think, I don't know what I'm in for, but I know it's going to be good. Or least it's going to be different. Whenever you see a Carti release, you know it's going to be something cutting edge or unique. Much like A24, Carti's music has a specific style to it that you can pinpoint, but has enough of an edge to it that it isn't digestible for most. But much like Carti, being enigmatic can only take you so far, and I think the style is hitting at a dangerous point where both of these creatives are going to have to make a decision. When you create your whole brand as mysterious, you enter a territory of possibly being pretentious. Many A24 fans have felt this way and expressed their grievances online, and many Carti fans have expressed their annoyances with how he was approached his music as well. Frank Ocean and Kanye fans have expressed grievances as well, in their own ways. But all these artists have their own different ways of doing this, and I think it's important to show the differences. So I made this graphical compass to indicate where these artists land. In Quadrant 1, we have organized mystery, someone whose public-facing persona is mysterious, but when something's released or posted online, it's on his or her own terms and it's well put together. But there is an element of mystery with them that they're both fighting tooth and nail to maintain. Some examples of this are Frank Ocean, Kendrick Lamar, Rihanna, and A$AP Rocky. In Quadrant 2, we have organized public. This is an artist who's very open and honest about their motivations and plans, and they plan to execute them. They give fans what they want and don't risk losing any. Some examples include Tyler the Creator, The Weeknd, and Taylor Swift. Now down in Quadrant 3, we have chaotic mysterious. This is an artist whose public-facing persona is mysterious, and they build this up with a more unethical approach to empty promises and seemingly purposeful lies. An obvious example of this one is Playboi Carti. In Quadrant 4, we have chaotic public. The brother of chaotic mysterious, this is someone who's open about their intentions, attempts to promise a lot but often misses the mark, mainly due to their own missteps, has good intentions but they don't always come through, and is overall untrustworthy. A perfect example of this one is Kanye. I think artists often move wherever they want on this graph depending on how they act and promote themselves. A good example of an artist who's moved a lot is The Weeknd. Now he's very public facing and has a massive fan base because of it. But early on in his career, he was very mysterious and was very intentional about all his decisions. That's why a lot of his fan base is split among people who like his old stuff more and his new stuff. But I do think there's a danger spot on this graph where many artists and brands end up and they can't get out of. It's past this line, and it's the line of tolerance. I think an artist can get too mysterious and too enigmatic where people stop caring. There is a certain point where lying to your fans and misleading them is going to come back to bite you. Only a few artists like Playboi Carti and Frank Ocean can have fans be this patient. But on the other side, I think it's also bad, is when you're too overexposed to your audience and you give them too much. This is when you become too much and you become oversaturated, you become a product more than an artist. Someone who's close but not entering this field, The Weeknd, whose artists I actually love, but the way his rollout is happening right now, there's so much promotional pieces, it's making me lose interest in what he's actually making because it feels like I'm being sold to rather than an actual piece of art that he cares about, even if that's not the case. But why this is important is because artists have been pushing this boundary too far. After Tyler had an amazing rollout followed by executing on his album release, fans have understandably made it clear that they're done with this quote mysterious shit. I think this enigmatic, mysterious style of artist is interesting because it cuts through the noise when every other artist is doing the opposite. But it's been pretty clear that people are starting to get frustrated with being lied to. I do think these artists aren't trying to mislead people. I honestly think artists like Kanye get inspired and excited to do something, and as soon as they get going on it, they share it to the world, and then as time passes, they change, they realize they are not inspired by it anymore, and they have the money and experience to just move on and abandon it. But I do know 100% that there is a ton of stuff that he does on purpose to be mysterious. So intentional or not, all these artists are doing this marketing strategy. But anyway, I'm just someone who's waiting for music constantly. It's been frustrating for me, so I had to get my thoughts out. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.